Happy Thanksgiving. Oh, man.
How are we seeing Cam Ward progress from week 1 to now?
Yeah, very positively is probably the way I would explain it. He's very decisive. You know, he's done a great job with his feet the last few weeks too. But he's a tremendously accurate thrower and a very mature decision maker, in my opinion, at this point. You know, for a young guy. But he's definitely progressed, and you know, he's getting the ball where it's supposed to go just about all the time. He's keeping a lot of plays alive with his feet, so he makes you work, you know, just like all the other great players at that position. He makes you work, obviously, with the plan in the pocket to defend him and then trying to mix and change your coverages because he sees it really, really well.
You got a quarterback like that as a rookie. I mean, he can move around.
Yeah.
He's going to keep you on your toes, kind of reset the pocket. He has a little bit of that Mahomes to his game.
Yeah, I mean, he's a big, strong kid too, but you know, he keeps plays alive he's one of those guys keeps plays alive in the pocket, and he can really do damage down the field throwing the ball because he keeps the plays alive. You know, it's one thing to get out of there and scramble and get through, which he does do a good job of that. But it's some of those plays that you look over the course of the season where he's kept it alive and gotten big chunk plays down the field because he keeps his eyes down the field. So he's an aggressive player at that position, and you got to have a good plan for him.
What's clicked for Antonio Johnson over like the past 2 weeks or so?
I think that's more just an accumulation of all the work that he's put in, you know. Watching him every day from the spring till now, it's little by little, and I think what you're seeing is a lot of that stuff is manifesting, and he's got, I think, a lot of confidence in what he's doing, because it's like anything else. If you do some of the same things over and over and over again, you can become a master at it, and I think he's trending in a way where he not only knows what he's supposed to do, he knows what everybody around him is supposed to do, and he's got some position flexibility too. Because he's a big guy and a physical guy, he can play down closer to the line of scrimmage, you know, do some nickel type of roles and linebacker type of roles, those type of things. You've seen him do that, and has the ability to play back on the hash with some man coverage skills too, down low. So he's really got a great skill set, in my opinion, and he's progressed very, very well, and I think he's doing a really good job for us.
The way the pass rush responded after, you know, what Liam said after the Houston game over the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think some of those, some of the rushes in the last 2 weeks, the guys have done a very good job. There's, you know, some where we had them in the grasp too, you know, that didn't show up as sacks, but definitely affected the quarterback and affected the outcome of the play. And we're going to need that down the stretch. You know, I think we've gotten a little bit better there. We got to continue to progress there. The guys are working their ass off to get that right. I think our D-line coaches have done a really, really good job with that. Matt Edwards and Derek LeBlanc have done a really good job with the plans and staying vigilant with the guys about how we rush, you know. And really, I think when you're doing a good job in the rush, it's usually because there's a team rush mentality, and there's certainly a bunch of selfless guys in there who are trying to, whether we're running inside stunts or whatever, outside stunts, whatever it is, trying to make sure that they execute the plan and get guys home, even if it's not themselves.
Go ahead, John.
How important is what you just talked about, Camp? The rushing as a team and making sure you're doing your role.
Yeah, it's tremendously important. You know, there's a rush the other day early in the game, you know, where we set up a little bit of a spy deal based on the coverage that we were playing, and they really executed it really, really well. I think it was the first or second, third down of the game, and Dennis came around and did a good job staying patient. But that's a collective. That's all four guys executing, you know, the call, getting the rush, getting it moved to where we want it to go, and getting the guy on the ground because we did it correctly. So they had a bunch of those over the last 2 weeks. And to be honest with you, we've had a bunch of those throughout the season. And I think they're starting to see the fruits of their labor, and some of that stuff's paying dividends now.
When you're playing rookie quarterbacks, is the number one thing to do to confuse them? Is that the goal? Just confuse them, make them hold that ball a little bit more?
Yeah, I think on the back end, even to speak to what you were just asking about the pass rush, the coverage being tight and the coverage being able to do a good job disguising can often force the quarterback to hold the ball. So those two things working together, I would say that that's usually the case. But this guy is also, in my opinion, he's a sharp kid. He's very mature. I don't see him making a lot of bad decisions back there, which to me is the most impressive thing about him. He's an impressive athlete, but he's impressive as a decision maker and knowing where to go with the ball. So we got to do a good job of that, certainly against anybody, but definitely against him as well.
Look at, or talk to the guys about, hey, look, yeah, he's the most sacked quarterback in the league, but that doesn't mean we're gonna get to him. Don't just look at that and assume we're gonna get home.
Yeah, I don't think you ever can. I think if you look at their games over the course of the year, they've been playing a lot of tight games. They got the Seattle game down, a one-score game the other day. You look at them play Houston the other day, 2 weeks ago or whatever it was, 10 days ago. They've done a really good job, and they're fighting. They got their players playing hard. So we got to do a great job in the rush, and nobody's looking at this like that type of game. Everybody's looking at it like this is we got to get our best effort and put our best foot forward to execute against these guys.
How did Braswell do for you last week?
He did a good job. I thought overall he did a good job. I thought both guys did. And I thought Buster overall did a pretty good job too. So having those guys in there and playing a bunch, it's given us, I think it gives you a shot in the arm going down the stretch because, like real football starts at Thanksgiving in this league. That's kind of an age-old saying in the NFL, but you're getting down to the nitty-gritty here, and we got to be at our best. And you want to have guys who've played, and they've been seasoned, they've been battle-tested. And I feel like we have a bunch of guys who've done that because we've played pretty much everybody on the back end. Rayon Lane, I'd say the same thing. On the back end, he's done a good job. From where he started out in the year, I think he's had tremendous progress. And I would say the same thing about Christian.
What do you need to see from Newsom?
I think Craig's just got to keep going the way he's going. I don't really need to see anything else. I got total confidence in Greg. Love him as a player. I think he's got a ton of skills, certainly when it comes to man-to-man and playing zone. So, yeah, I'm confident as I possibly could be in any of those guys, and especially Greg.
Everybody talks about pass rush, but how much pride, how important is it to be playing the run as well as you guys are?
Yeah, I think if you're stopping the run, you're making people one-dimensional, and that's important. I mean, I think there's an emotional high that comes from big plays in the pass game, but there's a physical high that comes from being able to run the ball on somebody. I don't think there's a more helpless feeling in football than somebody being able to run the ball and kick your ass down the field. So that's something that is very, very important to us. We kind of hold sacred in our room, making sure that we're doing a good job of that. And when we're not, it's not good enough. It's not acceptable. And I think the guys have taken to that, to not stay blocked and do your job, do your 111th, but then go do some more. Go find a way to get to the football. I think that's a really important part of run defense, and I think our defensive backs and defensive backs coaches have done a very good job of that, of spreading that culture around the room because, in this league they're going to make the corners tackle because they don't think corners can tackle. And you got to have guys at that position that are physical enough to do it, that want to do it. Culturally there's buy-in to that on our end. So that's another thing, like even asking about those guys. I think they've both done a really good job. I thought even in a run game, Greg had some physical reps the other day, taking on pullers and all kinds of stuff. So, yeah, to your point before, I think both of those guys have done a good job. Appreciate it.
Thanks for the job, Bill.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Appreciate you guys being here. Blown away, man. Grinders in here. It's awesome. Glad to have you back here too. It was lonely up here last weekend without you. I walked up here. He's got the first question every single time. I'm like standing here looking like someone can ask. I hope someone asks a question.
Well, I'm back.
You can lead off.
There we go. After last week, the turnovers were probably up and down. Can that be as much of a confidence-building game for you and the quarterback and Trevor as even a perfect game because you see that he's not going to get rattled by that kind of stuff?
Absolutely. And I think you see, especially when you have success on the other side of it, the resilience to go from one drive to the next drive, but additionally to know we can make mistakes and still overcome that. Not that we would ever want to do that, but there is an element of doubt sometimes for certain players when they go out there and make mistakes and say, even if I play well, can I play well enough to overcome that? So to be able to go out there and do your job and do it at a high level and know that that is enough to overcome a mistake in a game, that you can go up, that's freeing moving forward to say, I can go play fast and I don't want to make mistakes. We got to be better about protecting the ball. But if I do, we can play well enough to overcome those things, which is huge.
Liam, said he told Trevor after all the picks, each pick, just keep throwing it, keep chucking it. How comforting is that for a quarterback to know that, he's not going to, that he has a head coach that'll tell him that and has the confidence in him to just keep firing it down there?
It's a huge deal, and I think Liam's confidence in the quarterback, the offensive line, the coaching staff, everybody is one of those things that's contagious, and it affects all the players, all the coaches, the whole organization, because especially at the quarterback position, you're going out there and the ball is in your hand every single play. And it's not like it's in your hand and you're just like passing it on to, even on plays where you're handing it off, you're going up there and you're making a decision that affects the outcome of the play, affects the outcome of the drive, and then affects the outcome of the game when you extrapolate it all the way out. So a lot of guys can get in their head and take that and turn it into the weight of the world every single time they got to go out there and make a play, which turns into a mistake becoming, oh, that's costing the team the game, or I'm doing all this, and it becomes this, kind of this series of events where guys end up, falling into bad patterns of habit and mental spaces. But to go out there and know, like, I can make a mistake and they still have confidence in me and I can go out there and play fast is huge for a quarterback to be able to go out and play at his highest level. Because if you're going out there and then, whether it's retroactively or preemptively, you're thinking, I can't make a mistake, I can't do this, and all the things I can't do, you're by default not thinking about all the things you do want to do and that you are trying to do. So it's huge for him, and he's done a great job of handling that, because it's one of those things that's easier said than done. So you say it all the time and you preach it all the time, but for him to go out there and do it is really what's so impressive.
The wide receiver room, I guess the pecking order has shifted over the course of the year. How much of an impact can that have on, the passing game, finding that consistency? Liam said he was starting to build more and more confidence in the group. Maybe it's because you guys found those pass catchers you want out there a little bit?
I think there's a lot of things that go into it. Hopefully, regardless of who's out there at receiver, more time on task and more time together is going to produce a better product. In the pass game, it's going to produce more chemistry between those guys, just pitching and catching, or understanding the space I got to get to, the timing I got to get there, the way I'm releasing on a certain route, the way this release pattern distributes versus this coverage, it plays out like this versus that coverage, it plays out like that. But there is an element of guys having a certain chemistry and finding what guys are good at certain routes and certain concepts, what routes are good for the quarterback, what routes are good for Jacoby, Parker, BT, Diami, all of our guys. So as we get better as a unit, it should naturally improve. But finding those guys and finding what they do well together, what they do well with the quarterback, does make a difference for those guys when it's playing on time and playing in rhythm, all those things we talk about.
How's Basil progressed, especially over the last 2 or 3 weeks?
He's progressed really all year. Even since the spring, coming in where he was, a ton of stuff for him to learn that was very different from what he had done in college, and he's embraced that, and him and really the entire running back room have attacked that in a really, really impressive way. The amount of extra work he puts in with extra walkthroughs, extra film study with Coach Morton. He's up here on his off days, getting extra lifts, working on technique and fundamentals, trying to refine his craft on his tracks, being disciplined with his cuts, his reads in the run game, his understanding of the protection schemes. Really all areas of his game, I could point to different facets and say that he's made improvements. Now, some of it you don't always see because he hasn't gotten a ton of, for example, targets in the pass game. But when we're out there on the practice field, I can see him continue to improve where I feel confident that he has the ability to do certain things in that area of the game. Same thing in the protection. He hasn't had a ton of snaps and opportunities to go up there and fit up complicated protection, pressure pickups and things like that. But I know from what I see in walkthroughs and practice that he does on the field that he's capable of that. So it's one thing to improve in the run game, which he has done a ton of. He's always had the talent. You saw the balance, the strength, the speed, the burst, all those things from day one. But all the nuances and details of the game have improved. But it's really exciting to see a guy who hasn't had a lot of opportunities in some areas of the game still work so hard to improve those areas. And, the way that whole room and Coach Moore gets those guys ready to go, the way they attack it, the way they practice is awesome for me. It's awesome for the whole team. It's awesome for the unit.
How's Cole Van Lannon been for you out
great. He's been great. We talked about it last week. He was going center, guard, tackle, left tackle, right tackle. There's certainly plays in the game from last week that he would want to, that he probably wants back, that we all want back. Every guy's got those. But for him to go out there and do what he did and be able to play different positions, communicate with different guys, different schemes, different blocks, it's totally a different fit of some of those blocks, even from left to right. Like, yeah, a combination between a guard and a tackle might be the same combination on paper, but the actual mechanics of fitting up with my left shoulder as opposed to my right shoulder is a totally different feel for those guys. So for him to do that week in and week out is another area I know I've said impressive with those backs. He would fall into that same category.
Pretty strange, just getting him back. I mean, he caught a pass, I think the first pass of the game.
Yeah.
How good was it to get him back kind of in the flow and the mix of things really quickly?
Huge. Like we mentioned before we got him back, he adds a ton of value in attacking defenses in the pass game and the run game. He can do so much. From a route standpoint, you saw that's a deeper route. He has a bunch of underneath catches where he's catching and running, so he can really run a pretty full route tree from a tight end perspective. I mean, he can be flexed out and running routes that receivers run. And then in the run game, he's in line, he's off the ball, he's he's going back and forth in the backfield, he's motioning and doing a bunch of things. So he adds an element of variety that lets us play in a bunch of different sets and different personnels and still do similar things out of those personnels or vastly different things out of those personnels because he is so capable.
Did you realize just how valuable he was going to be to the offense when he first came in?
That's a great question. I probably did not. I wish I did, but I mean, the more and more you're around him and the more you see the physicality and the explosive ability in the run game or with the ball in his hands, the more you realize how special a player is and how much he adds to our offense from an attacking standpoint. Anything else? All right, awesome. Thank you guys. Happy Thanksgiving, guys. Really appreciate you guys being here.